Right.
I think I think it's best if we just talk and just we start there and then wherever we wind up, right? So
Okay, got it.
if
We're
we want to,
going.
yeah, if we want to get specifics, then throw a video out there, you know.
All righty.
Yeah.
But
So on the PVA, Mike, I saw your thoughts. I didn't want to. I got to get these posted. I have some, but uh, so we talked about this in another meeting I had last week. That another thought I had on it is that remember when you get a new patient, your initial recommendations might be all the chiropractic these people ever get. And so when people are only recommending 12 visits or whatever it might be, and they have loss of curve or DJD or whatever it might be, if we're not recommending or talking about a year of care or 6 months of care, certainly people got to talk about their comfort zone, but keep in mind that might be all they ever get because I have had a basement full of files of people who only came for that first round of adjustments.
yeah,
Like every chiropractor does. You have way more inactive files than you have active files. All of us strive to build a tribe of whatever, 300, 500 people, and it's always changing too. There's very few people that any of us can look at and say, well, yeah, that guy or gal's been coming regular for 30 years.
hmm
Some of them come and go, but so many come and never come back. And chiropractic is one of the few professions, maybe this is changing, that we get one crack, one shot, so to speak,
hmm
to get them in chiropractic. And then a lot of people will say, oh, I tried chiropractic.
yeah, right,
And they'll never go again. I mean, we're arguably the only profession because if they get a bad mechanic, they'll find another mechanic. If they get a bad attorney, they'll find another attorney. If they get a bad haircut, they'll find another
hmm
chiropractors, it's like, oh, I had a bad experience, so they're all bad.
yeah,
So it's inherent to know that, and I think that's a reason to give at least be talking about a year of care. So even if you're somebody who says I'm going to get you out of pain in 12 to 20 adjustments, and then move you to, I hope they don't say once a month, but every once a week or whatever, but be some sort of uh, thought process on that. So anyway, that's
yeah.
my first thought.
No, no, I think that's very valid because you hear often, at least I hear often, and maybe we said this last call, um, from younger chiropractors, they say, yeah, we what what miracles in chiropractic, and we don't see any miracles in chiropractic. And my thought to them, or my statement to them, was always, well, I saw them when I was a kid, and I saw them as a practicing chiropractor, but. And you came in, regardless of your symptomology, you were in my office for 5 days right in a row, or 10 days in a row. And then you were there, you know, 3 times a month or 3 times a week for 3 months or longer. You
Right.
know, how are you going to see a miracle? How are you going to change somebody's life if you're doing 3 times a week for 3 weeks, 2 times a week for whatever, the
Right.
insurance company schedule, right?
Right.
And if you're gonna have a PVA, high PVA, you got to set the tone for that, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, how are you going to go to once a week if you start them at once a week?
Exactly.
And yeah, and there are a lot of guys out there that'll say, well, that's overutilization. Bullshit.
Right.
You know, is gravity overutilizing us, or that my daily traumas overutilizing us? How are you going to
Shower
combat?
every day, overutilizing it.
Yeah, right. How are you going to combat living in this world, certainly now, um, with a visit once a week to start with, you know?
Well,
I,
how many cancer patients will take the
yeah,
medical world and they get radiation and it's 30 days in a row?
yeah, right.
It's 5 days a
Exactly.
week for 5 weeks. Or, and I mean, I have a patient, she's essentially was everything was clean, but their preventative radiation is 2 weeks, is
Yeah.
12, 13 every day. And it's funny, their every day is, they'll say every day, but then that's Monday through Friday.
Yep.
I know all of us have, when we said every day with certain people, we were in there Saturday and Sunday because that's what they needed. the medical
Yep.
profession, if there's a holiday in there too, my God, President's Day, then we're not going to be open for you and I would go in to see that person. So anyway, back to your point, Mike, that
Yeah.
how are you going to get a miracle?
Yeah.
If they need that, then we need as much or more.
Listen, if you came into the office and you were acute, and some reason I decided to adjust you, that first visit, you were there twice a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Yep.
were there twice a day. If
Yep.
if if I was going to come outside of what I thought was norm, then we were really gonna amp it up, you
We're
know?
going for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And when you
I,
stop and think about it, that people's subluxation patterns start pre-birth,
yeah.
and then they wait till they're 30, 40 years old before they see a chiropractor. What if you never went to the dentist, never brushed or flossed your teeth, and then 30 years of age, you show up at a dentist's office? What are your teeth going to look like? Well, your
Yeah,
spine's
I
going to
know.
look just as bad, if not worse. And it takes time to undo that damage.
And dentistry and chemotherapy and all that stuff it's all outside in. Um, it it it's not working with that innate intelligence, that substance that keeps us alive, And then you put that on top of it, and it's like, why would you not want to be checked
Right.
every week, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So, I mean, the adjustment, I'm going to go ahead and say, does no harm, right? I mean, the chiropractor might if he's not paying attention to what he's doing, but
Right.
I just don't see any downside to it. Certainly when you're talking about our three offices and we made it affordable and still made a great living, why would you not do it? I just don't, you know?
Well,
So,
years ago, that
Fear.
one of the first researchers in Dr. Seuss said there was no such thing as a bad adjustment, and he was
right.
just talking. He wasn't a chiropractor. He was talking just from neurologic standpoint, which
Yeah.
again is to me another branch of the topic. That's just one part of the subluxation. In a sense that we talk about neurology, and has been on my mind too, that all this, again, brain-based practice now, which is popular to talk about, but it still ignores the innate or the magic of, well, wait a minute, how does that signal know where to go? You can talk about the brain sending the signal, but how does it
Mhm.
know to stop at the stomach? How does it, and how that it's this much, or how does, and you, Mike, you talked about this, but saying the signal going back, how does it know? How does it know, right? That's,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they forget about that. So all this, it's concerning or confusing to me, because like it's forgetting that uniqueness. That's something which, great book, but and that's part of the story, which is so important, because then it includes us, like you said, the practitioner. That's something, both the innate of the patient, the innate of the doc, and then that universal intelligence with all of
Yeah.
that. It's
Well,
just fascinating to me.
it le- it leaves out that very important part of the triunity, which is the transmission, right? That's
Right.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You have the up there, which is the mind, you have the down there, which is the body and the tissue, but they're leaving out the transmission.
Yep.
How does it know where to flow? Oh,
Right.
obviously it's a track and it's in the spinal column, but let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
How
that's
much, how far, how long? Yeah. Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
it's the mental impulse, not the neurological impulse. That's the important thing. And
Yeah.
that's what we're getting away from as a profession. We're trying to look more scientific and less spiritual in that respect, going back to
Mhm.
the original days of chiropractic. And I think people don't understand that. I think the reason why people are afraid to make those large recommendations for cases for care is fear of rejection. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to be told, no, I can't do that, or don't want to do that, or I don't see that. And they're afraid about what other people are going to say about them. Oh, he's an overutilizer, or he's just doing it to get insurance money. But when your intent is to remove the interference to the expression of life, and that subluxations are cutting off that expression, why would you not want to encourage that person to be under chiropractic care for the rest of their lives?
Yeah.
Well, those people are, again, those docs need to do more homework, right? The study doesn't stop when we graduate, that they need to be immerse themselves actually in the science part, which is, that you would see a degenerated spine, that you would see what the nerve looks like when it's under pressure for a long time, that it's not as pretty anatomically or beautiful, that you can see that. And then the research that shows what 95% of children, this medical research, are born with some sort of subluxation, R word, but nerve interference, and sometimes doesn't express for 20, 30, 40, 50 more years on a symptomatic basis. Or, so they need to do their homework. They
Mhm.
also need to do their homework on the art, the adjustment,
Sure.
right? And of course, then the philosophy of with that, but somebody has to keep spoon feeding that to them and
You said
time.
it.
There's some great, great people. I think all us, any of us, that's what we're trying to do. But also that Dan Murphy was doing that
Uh,
30 years ago. That
Yeah.
great gatherer of information, and he'd
Hmm.
sift through it and say, "Here's why this works."
Yeah.
And somewhere that's lost in the school. I'm sure you guys had instructors that did that somewhere, right, as you were going along. But I was lucky. I can remember my gross anatomy instructor. We'd be in there doing dissection, and it was just fascinating because he would talk about that relationship a little bit, the beauty of the anatomy, and why what we were doing was important. I mean,
Well,
just at that level. And this guy by no means was a quote great chiropractor, but he still was seeing it. He was very science orientated, but it made sense to him at that level. But we're not doing enough. So the Chris Kents of the world do that. I think
hmm.
McCoy, uh,
Harrison.
Harrison, they're doing it, but you really have to put all those pieces. You have to keep working. I mean, I'll give Carrick or Mike Hall or these guys credit. They're doing it, but you also have to be careful that because some of them are guilty of it's only my way, right?
Right.
I.e.,
Right.
which, and that's what's happening. Again, I was thinking about that this morning. What, 30 plus years ago, when I was exposed to biophysics, and a couple of the guys, Dwight DeGeorge and Anthony Gambale, who were the big shots with Harrison. And I remember talking to them, and I asked a question. I was at a seminar, and he said, "Are you doing biophysics CBP on all your patients?" And I said, "Well, no, some of them." And he said, "Oh, so you're getting some of them better." And
Yeah. Right.
it just turned me off. I was like, listen, I'm trying to learn, but he was so in my face. And the same thing, there's the brain-based people now with this neuro infinity device who literally tell you that we're all adjusting people wrong because we aren't using that device. So that's like, it's a wrong adjustment. And then he posted a little case, somebody get a stroke patient getting better, but then he's like, oh, and we're also chiropractically adjusting his wrist and elbow and
Yeah. Right.
hand, and we're using a red light cap, and we're doing that. I'm like, whoa, 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 that's not chiropractic. There's not a chiropractic adjustment of the wrist.
Yeah.
That's a manipulation. Let's be
Mhm.
Sure.
clear.
Sure.
But same thing. There's an arrogance there that, oh, this is the only way, and that's the
Well,
peril of technique and
yeah.
science.
I think that's a sales and marketing thing too, or maybe it's even fear based. I have a seminar, and I'm making my living selling this product. And if I tell you it's okay to go someplace else, you might go someplace else and like that better and then not come back here,
Right.
which I think is the complete opposite of what you should be doing,
Exactly.
right? It creates an environment of yeah, I'm it, nobody else can do it because I'm afraid you might not come back.
Ego.
Yeah,
Ego based. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't get it. I mean, I don't I don't think I've ever heard NBC tell you not to watch CBS.
Right.
I mean, there are so many channels. If you have a good product, look, this is like my office too, right? If I
Right.
have a good product and I believe in it and I have 100% faith in it in myself, I welcome you to go someplace else. This might not be the place for you. I want you to
Right.
find the best place for you,
Correct.
right? Or how about if I just get a little bit from everything. Is that called wisdom eventually? Doesn't that help you
Yes.
make better choices and live a better life? You
Right.
know? Um,
Yeah.
what do I know?
I think the other thing on PVA, Mike, is and Brad, you both have touched on about education and table talk and I still feel two parts. The patient talk or new patient orientation, no
You
matter
hit
how
it.
important that was, it was good to give it. It was 100% for me.
Oh yeah.
It was stoking my fire, and I was
Yeah.
going to be sharing not only the core talk, but whatever else I had learned, my wisdom, right, and passing that on. And then the same thing with table talk. If you pursued it and had a goal with each patient of what message you were sharing that day, that kept you focused. Not
Yeah.
so again, then the people knew you cared, you were involved. It wasn't
Sure.
like, again, nothing but a thing. How's the ball game? Blah, blah, blah. Not that, that can happen to anybody. But in general, you had your script or your check or your system and whatever it might be. But those two things, table talk and the new patient orientation or Monday night or whatever you call Tuesday night, whatever term you have, that's for the doc. That's got to
Abs-
keep you soaked in the philosophy and the
Yeah.
science and the art, and hopefully you're sharing all of them. And because you're studying all the way, it's constantly, yeah, you got the core talk, and I know I did, and
Yeah.
but then you're constantly sharing. Well, here, look at this. I read
Yeah.
this. This is important, or this is so chiropractic. Those aspects. So that's really why that becomes important. I would, as I've said, some of my best long-term patients couldn't tell me what a subluxation is. They trust me. They know the
Yeah.
adjustment works. And by their own value system, they know they're better off than other people around them. That's
Yeah.
usually their judgment. It's like, why I just keep doing well and my friends who don't come here aren't. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. Chiropractic works for me. That's it.
Yeah. I've always said, and I know Brad's heard me say this, that where else do you have your patients for 20 minutes or a half an hour, and you get to tell them exactly who you are
Yep.
and exactly why you're doing what you're doing, and and most certainly what chiropractic is. Uh, how do I get to tell them the story? How do I get to express the principle of chiropractic? You can do that at table talk? I don't think
No,
so. You can do that at your day one or day two, or however you do your reports, maybe a little bit, but I've got you captured. Is that the right word? I've got your full
got your
attention.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full attention for 20 minutes. And I get to tell you why I do what I do and why you should be here with me, right? Just like you said,
Yep.
Terrence, who I am. And
Mhm.
and, and that's so multifaceted, because now when you miss your first appointment and you come back for the second appointment, or whatever appointment it is, but you've missed your first one and then you come back, I get to say to you, now you know why I don't want you to miss any appointments.
Yep.
Doesn't have anything to do with your pain or whatever, or that I'm feeling abandoned that you're not here. You were here at the workshop. You know why I don't want you to miss.
Yep.
How much stronger is that, right?
Yep. Yeah. You anchor all your table talk to
You
that.
anchor all your table talk with that.
And you said it best, like who you are.
Yeah,
Now you know who I am, right?
yeah,
And what I'm going to help, we're going to work on together.
mhm,
Are you with me? Right?
yeah.
Are you with
And
me?
you guys ask me all the time, how many different topics was your workshop? Well, the first 10 minutes were probably whatever I experienced, like you said, whatever I read that week, whatever I experienced that week. But I guarantee you the last 20 minutes were exactly the same.
Yep.
It was chiropractic. And then there was a story about chiropractic and what it did. And then at the very end of that, obviously, it was kind of like a call to the altar. It was referral based, right?
Yep.
Close. So, but I'd have to say my biggest PVA driver was my workshop. No question about
Right. Yeah. I think if we were to say it, PVA
it.
is probably driven by the workshop. Well, your day one, day two workshop, right?
Yeah,
How are you connecting and and then recommendations have to be consistent with the seriousness of the subluxation or the
sure.
the problem they have, and then like the the Monday night or Tuesday night or health talk. And then the table talk is just, again, constantly reminding them of who you are, what we're working on, why they're staying engaged, and why you're committed to taking care of them and their family for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And
I,
yeah,
well,
And
I
that's
was
the
just thinking
key,
about,
is the key is a big enough why. If they connect with your why, then they're
yeah,
going to
right.
go with you. If you
Yeah.
can't connect a why to them, they're not going to value it. They're not going to reach in their pocket and pay for it. So you have to switch, you have to shift their paradigm from I'm in pain,
Pain.
I'm not doing what I want to do, to a lifetime of optimal health and well-being.
Yeah.
And
Do you
that
want to
takes
play with your
time.
grandkids?
right.
Right.
Yep.
Say what?
Yeah.
Say that
I,
again?
I was thinking about my mom the other day, and you know those stories about my brother, and you couldn't have a bigger why than what my mom had. And after being in the office, I don't know, many years, sitting through gosh knows how many workshops, she finally looked at me one day, and I think Lisa was actually in a room, and she said, "You know what? I think I finally got it." Right? Now,
Right.
this is a woman that's surrounded by it. I think I finally got it. And you'll have patients that'll say that to you after a month, and it's like, no, you don't. I hope you do.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but they never.
I
Arguably, you could say they never get it
no,
because
I had one patient.
your mom went to hundreds, if not thousands, of health
Yeah,
talks,
yeah,
and yeah, so yeah, 20 years in of health
yeah,
talks, she's like, I think I got
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and arguably, yeah, all of us could even be like, I think I'm starting to understand this.
And that's
Absolutely.
if I can go backwards a little bit, and that's why I think, not only is it important to continue to study, like you said, but I think it's vitally important to surround yourself with these guys, right?
Right.
Guys that are so much smarter than we are, right? Or have something that we don't have, you know?
That's a better way of saying it. They do.
You know, I think it was uh I can't think of his name now, the director of Caddyshack,
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis.
And
I read a quote by him once that said, when you walk in a room, always go stand next to the smartest person in the room, right? And in his case, it was Bill Murray, right? Look what happened.
right,
He carried it, and I feel the same way. I walk into a seminar, I want to go find the guy with the juice or the gal with the juice, and
right.
I just want to go stand there and just soak it up, right?
Absolutely.
It's surrounding yourself. What's that old? No man's an island. We're all part and parcel of the same. Well, I want to go find that person that's got a bigger piece and see if I if I can't you know be a what are they called? Remores, that suck off
Right.
the shark,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but,
Definitely. Well, yeah, you can always learn something from somebody.
yeah,
I'm still fascinated whether I don't care how many people they're serving. If they're doing something, I can learn something from them. And if
yeah,
we're both trying to do that, that's the joy. It
mm,
it doesn't matter. We can learn something from everybody. And you can never say you've got it down either. That's perilous for anybody. Oh, I got that down, because the world's going to humble you if you say that. And that's the value, driving it back to seeing people twice a day, coming
mm,
in Monday, every day to help somebody. That's how you're going to learn, or how you're going to get better, or show your dedication, or right, that relights your fire or lights your fire. It just keeps going when
yep,
when you're in it to serve, and
yep,
and it serving is, keep learning, keep trying to improve all those aspects of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
The other
I
thing I wanted to say was about miracles. I think that's really important to talk about miracles, because people really undervalue their miracles. They take things for granted. So, whether it's um, somebody comes in with I'll just with pain, and you adjust them, and they get better.
hmm
Whether that could be one adjustment or not. I mean, I can remember in clinic at National that I had a guy come in, and you know how a clinic was. He was coming in one time like a traveling salesman, and had terrible back pain, and I adjusted him, and he literally jumped off the table. Was like, "That's it. I feel so much better. You're going to be a great chiropractor. Thank you so much." and I didn't know what I was doing, right? But he got
Right.
better. That was a miracle in its own right. It doesn't have to be the restoration of hearing or vision or whatever it might be, but the
Mhm.
profession sells short that we
Yeah.
all have those, even in the moment. I would contend my first one was that I remember when Terrence had his first fever as like a 16-month-old, and I adjusted him, and the fever went away
Yeah.
in hours, right? Or again, thinking about this, my Rebecca went into early labor when we were at the Parker seminar with the twins, which we didn't know we were having twins, which is a whole sidebar. But my dad, and Mike, I don't know if I shared this story before, but Will Tickle was there. You guys remember Will?
That's
Remember he
Brad's buddy.
My
yeah, he used
buddy.
to carry around the Green Book, right? And he was a speaker there, and his wife was there, and my wife's having, and we're in the room. My dad was there, and everybody's talking. Yep, she's having, and hey, his wife was a doula or something. She had a lot of experience with that, and she checked. Yep, you're having some contractions, and Will's got the Green Book. I'm standing around, nobody's doing nothing. Finally, my dad said, got her up on the bed in the knee chest position, Gonstead, and adjusted like L3.
Way to go.
Contraction stopped instantly. Instantly. She carried those babies 2 more months, which again, if they had come then, we would have
Yeah,
lost
right.
them. Because when they were born, they were still 2 months early, and they were 3 pounds, less than 3 pounds, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, all those little things, and then same thing. We trusted ourselves just to adjust the twins. That was it. Keep them
Mhm.
warm and adjust them. No other intervention, and we would come
Look at him.
regularly. Yeah, they'd say, "Oh, Connor, the one, he has a brain bleed. He's not going to ever walk or talk or all these things." And we were like, "Thank you. We're just going to keep doing what we do." And then I remember a week later was like, "We can't explain it. That brain bleed is gone. It's completely disappeared."
Yeah.
All those sorts. Those are big, but same thing. I was thinking then my patient at 30 plus years who says, "I don't know what I would have done without you. I've just,"
Mhm.
and it's not, he still goes to his MD. Let me be clear. He goes to his MD, he does these things, but he knows that we help keep him going. We're an integral
Yeah.
part of his lifestyle. So all those are miracles. I think our profession sells us ourselves short on what a miracle is within our profession. Yeah, that's
I agree. I agree. You couldn't get on the floor and play with your grandchildren, and now you can. Boy, that's nothing short of a miracle, right? You talk about quality of life change at that point. Yeah. Yep.
Or my kids don't need antibiotics anymore because they're not getting ear
Yeah.
infections.
Yeah.
Um,
Doc, I'm not getting any better. Well, where's the cane you walked in with, 2 months
Right,
ago? Oh
right,
yeah. Yeah, Yeah, we can look for 'em. But having said that, we also our scheduling, the three of us, was better than adequate, right?
right,
When you sat down and you did your financial report in my office, and I guess they still do, and even in today's society, you got a paper copy of what you were doing for the next 3 months.
right.
A literal calendar with the dates marked
mhm.
so that if you missed it, and I had a copy, and we called you and you said, yeah, I wasn't on the schedule for Tuesday. Oh, yeah, you were. I got it right here in front of me.
Right.
And you were marked for the workshop too. So, if you don't give them or if you don't hold them accountable, then they won't be accountable, right? And I
Agree.
know personally, me, uh, if you hold me accountable, I'm going to be more accountable. It's a human nature, right? So I think that's a big part of PVA too. If
Yeah,
you
you
if you
speak
if
up.
you don't give them an expectation, then how are they going to be held to it?
And
So
you have to have that same expectation too. If you say it's
sure.
okay to miss a visit, then or someone on your team says it's okay to miss a visit, then the patient thinks, well, that visit was important. Why is any visit important? That's why someone wouldn't dream of missing chemotherapy or kidney dialysis.
Uh,
Why would they miss having their spine checked and getting an adjustment?
so think about that, Brad. Think about what you just said. Did I miss my visit? Did I miss my adjustment last week? am I being accountable for my health and my adjustment,
Hmm.
right? Am I getting adjusted once a week? What am I doing, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm not doing that, and I'm telling you too, to the universe that that's fraudulent, right?
Well, it's incongruent.
Yeah. But if I'm telling you that to do it and that's what you
Right.
need to do, yeah, it is incongruent. It's contrived,
That's
whatever
like
word you
saying
want.
you need to come in 3 times a week, except this Monday because it's President's Day. You don't need to come in. Right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going on vacation, so you
Yeah.
don't need to come in.
No, yeah, no, you need to come Wednesday, you need to come Thursday instead of Friday.
Right.
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right.
No,
So,
it's very interesting. That's why, when the kids were little, I made them come in. They all came in, right? I'm sure Mike with yourself, they all once a week, the whole family, they signed in, they had the travel card, they went in, so people saw that they were coming in and getting their adjustment in as well.
yeah, I learned that from you, Terrence.
Okay.
I did because I wasn't doing that early on. And I heard you say that, and I was like, yep, yep, the patients need to know who my kids are.
Hmm.
I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to use them for table talk. Be nice if they knew who they were, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's fun because Sam's in the practice now,
Yeah, it's cool.
and he got adjusted the morning after he was born, and been getting adjusted once a week all the way up until he went away to college, and then he may not got adjusted that frequently, but I look at the patients, say you need to bring your kids in here. My kids got adjusted, never was on an antibiotic, never had an ear infection.
Yeah,
Now they got sick, but their bodies healed themselves, and that's why
they,
your
they
kids
felt.
need it.
Yeah, you know my thought on that, right? My kids were never sick. They felt bad.
There you go.
Sick is that kid that's bald and has IVs hanging out of his
Ah,
arm.
that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Good
That,
point.
that was just that was just my point of view. And to this day, at 33 and 30, if like Hannah with her kids, she'll say, Thatcher's sick today, and I'll go, and she says, I know,
It's
you know,
a
but
good
Words
point.
mean everything. What you say,
Absolutely.
yeah,
you send
yeah,
it out. That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Well said. Well said, Mike. Good stuff.
I,
Good
I don't,
stuff.
I can't take credit for that. I'm sure I got that from somebody, but you know,
That's excellent. That's
so
excellent. So what do you want to talk about next time then? We should
um, I don't know. I don't know. What's the next thing? New patients, PVA. We could talk about
About team building, you want to talk about individual building, how the doctor builds himself.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's talk about
very
that.
good. That sounds
Our
very good.
our disciplines and habits, right?
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
Perfect.
Rituals.
Lisa said, wait, let me think if I can think about what she said to me today. She said, um, imposing your will is too difficult. It's too hard. How about if you just build the good habits?
Mm.
And I thought, now, it's a good saying, right?
Walk the talk, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's
Right.
it.
We
Be the
try.
change you wish to see, all those things.
All
If
those
you're,
things, right?
you know,
Yeah. The hardest
keep,
part about going for a run is putting your shoes on.
yeah, yeah.
Getting out
Uh,
that front door.
Yeah, if you're demonstrating it, people will ask or want to follow, right?
yeah. I have lots of thoughts on that. So that's a good place to go next week. So
Okay,
All right.
yeah, man.
perfect.
I love this.
We'll go
All right,
ahead
guys.
and
You guys.
get it
Love you.
titled up.
Appreciate you.
And thanks for your patience on
No worries.
the technical stuff. Very simple, but we're back online
Yeah.
here. So
That's
And
good.
Terrence, if you're having difficulty posting your stuff, just send it to me and I'll put it up. But to put it on
Yeah.
Facebook, it's easy enough.
All
if
right.
I can
I'll
do
do
it, you can do it,
Thanks.
Terrence.
All right,
Okay.
go have some fun. Have a happy day.
Happy day.
Bye, guys.
Happy day.
All
Bye
right.
bye now.
Love you guys. Hey, Brad, are you still there?
Yeah.
Are we still recording?
No, let me stop that.